Welcome to the Zohar class. پرشای هفته هست شفتیم و شتریم به معنی judges and policemen. We are about 3 weeks before Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. It's once a year. It's a cycle that we go through it once a year. It's not only tradition, it's not only fun, it's not only for family get together, but we have a chance to shift our destiny. The way the system is designed that once a year, we can elevate, we can transform ourselves. We have the whole month of Selichot, we have a chance to go back and see the mistakes and the wrong that we done. And by recognizing it and by being aware of it and by promising ourselves that we're going to change the negative character, we have a chance to have a better destiny, to lift our destiny to a better one. The name of the game is change, to change ourselves. And if this year was exactly like last year, that means that we haven't changed anything in ourselves. If the same problems, if the same issues, is the same challenges, we're having it over year, it's because we haven't changed ourselves. So it's a cosmic event, Rosh Hashanah, Kippur, and Sukkot, to throw away, to cleanse, to purify our essence in order to have a better year, better future. So we don't want to have the same year as the year before. We want to have a much better one. And in order to have a much better one, we have to change. We have to look into ourselves and change to better. There is a beautiful lesson from the Zohar that we talked about it the years before, that when we go stand in front of the court don't look at how we dress up, beautiful, for the Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. They don't look at how we look. They don't look at how we talk. They have a way to access, to judge us for our action, because whatever we do, we carry it in our body. The Zohar says it's engraved in our bones. So if we got angry 10 times last year, or we start judging others, it's engraved in our bones, and the courts see it. And the amount of light we're going to receive is going to be limited. So the month of Selichot, or the month of Elul, we have a chance to cleanse our bones, to cleanse our record, to purify our what we've done in the past year. So when we're standing in front of the court on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, so we're going to be purified and cleansed, and the court going to give us a year full of light and success and happiness and goodness. So we have this month of Elul. Whatever we study this month during the Selichot is to cleanse our body, cleanse our mind, cleanse our wrongdoing, cleanse our bones. So we're going to stand pure in front of the court. The Selichot, that the whole month we have to go through, is not some Hebrew words that we read and that's it. Selichot means forgiveness. We have to, it's not about what I read. What I read is want to remind us what's the wrongdoing, what's our wrongdoing. So Selichot is to look into ourselves. It says, I killed, I judged, I stole, I put down, and all the negative characters that every human being can do. So we go through the whole month and we're trying to remember those bad days or bad acting and cleanse them and be pure in front of the court, the judge. So tonight we're going to learn how we can purify and cleanse and change our ways So we're going to go in front of the court and receive the highest amount of light. In our system, we don't have punishment. We don't get punished for what we did bad. We just simply don't get light. We just simply don't get blessings. If our body and mind and consciousness is pure and full of light and full of goodness, that's what we're going to receive. But if it's not, that's the case, then we don't receive enough light. Maybe you paid attention during the holiday Rosh Hashanah, we eat like certain fruits or vegetation, and we says this is to destroy our enemy. So who's this enemy that we want to destroy? The Kabbalists explain to us this enemy is not a force outside. This enemy is a force inside of us, within us. We are being judged for who we are. And if there is control, anger, hate, judgment, any of those bad characters, jealousies within us, is that negative force, that enemy is within us, is nobody outside. So we are not trying to fix something outside, we are trying to fix something within us, inside of us. So we are made out of two forces. One is our soul, neshama, which is the extension of the Hashem, the creator. And then we also made out of this force that is selfish, that we call it ego. Ego is such a small word, it's only 3 letters, but it's such a huge concept. And so one aspect is our soul and neshama, which is pure, full of love and kindness. And the other aspect is ego, is selfish. So what we are trying to do in this month of Elul is to correct this ego, is correct this enemy within us. This enemy within us don't let us to reach our goals and success and health and happiness. So we are not trying to fix other people. We are not trying to fix the world. We are not trying to go on a war with somebody else. The whole dedication and the whole intention is to fix, to destroy, or to control, or to harness the enemy within us. The Kabbalist says every pain we experience in our life is because this enemy within us. This is such a powerful sentence. We love to blame other people, neighbors, family, friends, members, we love to blame other people. But the Kabbalists explain to us, every pain we experience is within that enemy within us. I know there are bad people, I know there are bad situations, but how we react to that situation, how we approach that situation can make that situation bad, worse, horrible, or we can just simply, it's just another event in our life that we don't call it good or bad, we just pass through it. So any pain we experience in our life is because the enemy within us. This ego or the enemy within us get offended all the time. Our soul, our neshama doesn't get offended. It's the ego that gets offended. So we have to see what offends us, and the ego within us get offended and make the wrong decision. So if you're easily offended, that ego within us is big, is huge, and we need to control it. If we keep having the wrong perspective, like I was thinking about this lesson today. Today I go around and tell everybody, what a hot day, what a hot day. Enough. We don't need to remind everybody, we know it's a hot day. So we keep having this perception that something's wrong with the world. So that's ego. That's ego again. So number one was, if you get offended, that's the ego, that's enemy within us. If we keep repeating a wrong perception, again, that's the enemy within us. refuse to change mind. Wow, you know, stubbornness. Stubbornness is one of the biggest forces that don't let us grow, don't let us change our life to better. The name of the game is change. Like I said, as much as we change from now to Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, this is how much we're going to change our destiny. If we're stubborn and we don't want to change anything, then the next year is going to be exactly like this year. And our neshama, soul, wants to change itself to better. Our ego, the enemy within us, don't want us to change. If we have certain attitude and character towards certain people, certain situation, I'm saying I'm never going to change myself toward this person or toward this situation, then, you know, we are locking ourselves from the blessing that is waiting for us. So the ego doesn't want to change mind. So we have to have this awareness. Like I said, if you have pain, if you get offended, if you have the wrong perception, if you don't want to change, right away, you said to ourselves, you know what, that's the ego. And I learned in Kabbalah that ego is bad. Ego is my enemy. So each time I don't want to change my mind in some issue, remind myself this is the ego. It's not me. So I have to give a chance to myself. The ego doesn't want to be challenged. Ego doesn't want to be criticized. Ego doesn't want, you know, to learn. So if you don't want to be challenged, if you don't want to be criticized, if you don't want to improve, that's the enemy within us. You know, it's such an amazing concept that Kabbalah teaches us, that we made out of these two forces, the good and the bad, the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara, the good inclination, the bad inclination. We all good, but somehow this enemy within us take over. And we have to be in charge of our life and don't let this enemy run our life. This enemy within us wants to get angry and is always angry. This enemy within us is always defensive. This enemy within us always blaming other people. This enemy within us always judging other people. This enemy within us wants to punish other people. You know, Hashem never punish us. So why do we let this enemy within us punish others? The enemy within us is selfish. It wants everything for its own good. The enemy within us has a desire to receive for self alone, doesn't care about other people. So we recognize who is this enemy within us, and the punchline of this section is that we feed the enemy within us. This enemy within us cannot live on its own. It doesn't exist even if we don't want it to exist. But we are feeding the enemy within us. He doesn't have no source of other than us. The enemy within us doesn't get fed from Hashem, doesn't get fed from other people, doesn't eat food, does not connected to electricity. It doesn't have a solar panel. So the enemy within us get fed from us only. Get fed from us only. If we keep practicing anger and judging and selfishness, then we keep feeding it. And it stays alive and it grows. So as much as we feed ourselves mentally and physically to stay healthy, we feed the enemy within us also by acting negatively. This is the time of the year to stop feeding this enemy within us. Our soul has amazing purpose to grow and to share, to grow and to share, to become wiser, smarter, to understand, to see better, to hear better, and to share, to be kind to other people. That's the only two purpose of our soul, to grow and to share. And all this enemy within us don't let this soul to grow and to share. So any opportunities we have to learn and to grow, this is what our soul wants to do. And obviously this enemy within us wants to stop it. So the strength of this enemy within us is all depends how much strength we give to it. There is 3 points how we can control and stop feeding at least this negative force. Number 1 is to recognize and reflect on the moments when you don't act your best self. I love this point. There are days and there are moments that we are at our best. We are shining, we're full of good energy, we're encouraging people, we have this hand of giving, we kind and we hug and we love. That's our best. And we have to recognize some days, some hours, we are not at our best. So we all know each other, maybe we know each other at our best, when we are happy, dress up nice on Shabbat, we take care of each other, we concern, we love each other. But maybe the next day, at work or at home, there is a moment that we are not at our best. So we have to recognize and we have to acknowledge that there is a best scenario of myself. And on Shabbat, on happy occasions, we see that best aspect of ourselves. So we want to push ourselves to be our best most of the time. Like I give this example, I'm the kind of person that always encouraging people, giving good compliments. If it's a bad day, I say, no, it's a good day. If it's a not so good situation, I try to find a good aspect of it. But today I go around and I told everybody, oh, what a hot day, what a hot day. That was not the best of me, right? Now you see the point I'm trying to get to. So even if it's hot, even if it's exhausting, even if it's not an easy day, but I still want to keep me to be the best Keyvan, to be the best of who I am. So if we keep pushing ourselves to be the best self, that's how we control. That's how we don't feed this enemy within us. Sometimes we act in a certain way and then we look at it the next day, I'm better than that, Who was this guy that said these things? Who was this guy that acted like that? So we have to remember, I want to, at any time, any moment, I'm the best of myself. And I don't want to get to the point that I'm going to look back and say, you know what? I'm better than that. I should have not said those things. I should have not screamed. I should have not get angry. I should have, give more. I should have loved more. So have this awareness, the point number 1, to be the best of you most of the time. And we don't want to look back. It's okay, we all make mistakes, but we're trying to make it less and less. We don't want to look back and say, I'm better than that, The number 2 point is focus less on what others think or say about you. This ego, this enemy within us, constantly wants to gossip what people are saying, what is people criticism about you, what they're saying about you, if they're judging you, if they're talking about you. And that's the Pandora box. The moment we pay so much attention what other people says, that's the beginning of our trouble. And one thing leads to another, and it's a dark hole with no end. So we have to tell ourselves, my purpose in life is to grow and share. I don't care what people say. Of course, we have to pay attention to positive criticism, but the kind of gossiping and negative talking, the kind of what people are saying that we were waiting for their respect, waiting for their acknowledgement, that's the enemy within us. Our soul wants to grow and share constantly. Our ego wants to looking for recognition and see what other people says about us, and it's the beginning of the trouble. So the point of this section is, am I focusing too much on what people say about me, or I'm focusing on my own growth, my own transformation, my own sharing aspect? So next time you catch yourself focusing what's going on out there, what people are saying or what people are doing, you have to recognize that's the ego within us. I have to focus on my own growth and share. Then third point about how we can control this enemy within us. Again, thanks for the question earlier. We said we've done so much in the past year and it's engraved on our bones. So we are learning how to cleanse our bones. We don't want to take whatever we've done to the court. So number one was to be your best all the time. And number two was, don't focus on what people say. Focus on your own growth and share. And number three says, instead of trying to always be right, look for opportunities to learn and grow. The psychology says, don't be right, be kind, right? There's this famous sentence in psychology, don't try to be right all the time, try to be kind. Even if somebody is making a mistake, even if there is an argument that the guy is totally wrong. So you don't try to argue back and forth to prove that you're right. The psychologist says, be kind. Now the Kabbalah takes it one step further. It's not about being kind, it's about what I can learn from this situation. If there is an argument, if there is a misunderstanding, if there is a situation, I have to see what I can learn from this situation. Maybe I have to learn that it's time to move on from certain people. Maybe I have to learn that I need to close my mouth and open my ears. Maybe there is not maybe, for sure there is a message in this confrontation. So the ego wants to be right all the time. At any time, any place, anybody, any argument, any situation, I'm right and you're wrong. That's how the ego works. But the soul says, let me learn. Let me see what I can learn from this situation. So next time you catch yourself in a situation that you're arguing back and forth with family members, with anybody in our life, you have to pause. Says, you know what? It's the ego that wants to be right all the time. It's the enemy within me wants to be right all the time. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to give it energy and power. I'm going to stay still. I'm going to stay in quiet and peace and try to learn from this situation. So this is the 3 points that during the month of Elul, how we can control this ego. There is a beautiful sentence in the Torah this Shabbat, right at the beginning, on a paragraph, on pasuk 20. I'm going to read it in Hebrew. It says, Tzedek, tzedek, tirdov leman tichyeh. In English, he says, justice, justice shall you follow, that you may live. It doesn't get any better than that. The Torah very simply is telling us, tzedek, tzedek, justice, justice, tzedek is such a powerful word in Hebrew. It means is to do the right thing. به فارسی عادل باش، عدالت داشته باش. Be a tzaddik, be a sadiq, be a righteous person. He says, if you're righteous, you're going to live. It's, at this point in our life, the Torah is holy, and everything word in the Torah is holy, and it's emet. In a very simple way, he says, be righteous, be a sadiq, do the right thing, don't steal, don't cheat, don't, step on anybody. Just be a good person, so you're going to stay alive. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdov leman tichyeh. And the Zohar, the Torah, with all its beauty, doesn't talk about the other option, but the Zohar talks about the other option. He says, the enemy within us, if we give it power, chas v'shalom, it's gonna take away our life, take away, our health and happiness. I know we live in such a strange world. It looks like the more, you cheat, the more you lie, the more you deceive, you are more successful, you're happy, but that's not the Torah says. We know in the end, all those that they cheat and lie and deceive, they pay for it. So it says, be righteous, have a just, have a humanity, have a humility, care for others, love others, in order for you to stay alive. It doesn't say, the sentence, I thought about it so many times. It doesn't say that if you are rich, you're going to stay alive. It doesn't say if you are famous, you stay alive. It doesn't say if you are powerful, you stay alive. It doesn't say if you're good looking, you stay alive. It says if you are kind and humane and loving and caring and kind, you're going to stay alive. Such a powerful sentence. We're going to read it on this Shabbat. Tzedek tzedek tirdov leman tichyeh. And the Zohar talks about this enemy within us. He says, is whoever feed this enemy, whoever live by this enemy, his destiny is to, chas v'shalom, to die. A lie, a cheat, a deceive, a crook doesn't last forever. Sooner or later, it's going to show itself. So, it's the Torah giving us a very simple formula to stay alive, to be happy, to be healthy, to be successful. A righteous person, maybe is not the most famous, maybe it's not the most powerful, maybe it's not the richest, maybe it's a very simple person, but stay alive, stays alive. And staying alive in the Torah is not for our chapter, is forever, for generations to come. The Zohar says, this enemy within us is destined to die. It's not going to stay alive forever. It's destined to die. And we don't want to be its follower. We don't want to practice. We don't want to adopt this lifestyle of ego and selfishness. and hate and anger and control and all the negative jealousy, because it's destined to die. It's not going to last. But whoever is righteous is destined to stay alive. The Zohar explained that there is 4 ways. We are in book number 22, page right here, page 182, section 15. It talks about how we can destroy this enemy within us. This earlier section was talking about the bones, engraved on the bones, and now he says how we can cleanse it. If you pay attention during Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, we talk about so many weird action, and if you understand Hebrew, if you read the English, with things that we done or might done during the past year, Khatati, Pashati, and we're trying to cleanse, purify ourselves. And there is some sections that's talking about to destroy, to kill this enemy within us. And by 4 ways. It's talking about a sword, hanging the enemy within us, stoning it, and burning it. So it's kind of weird, but now we're going to explain what the Siddur on the holidays and what the Zohar wants us to learn. He says we have to destroy this enemy within us with the sword. The action of the sword is to cut away the head of the issue, the head of the problem. There is this enemy within us has certain characters that build itself on a certain source. So he says, cut away with the sword the head of the issue. I'm going to explain. Let's say we have a jealousy issue, and this jealousy, maybe we say to ourselves, you know what, I'm not jealous, I don't care, I'm not jealous, but we know you're jealous. And this jealousy keep pushing us toward bad feelings that, I don't have enough, I'm not good enough. This jealousy keep putting us in sad situations. So what the Zohar says is, just take the sword and cut the head of the jealousy. Sometimes, most of the time, we try to solve the situation in that moment. But the Zohar tells us, go to the source of the situation and cut its head away, cut its head out. So if cut away the jealousy, cut away the victim consciousness, cut away that I deserve more, cut away I need respect, cut away that, they don't love me, they don't give me attention. So until we don't cut off the head of that enemy within us, our issue is not going to be solved. So I can say, you know what, today I promise myself I'm not going to be angry anymore. I'm learning the Zohar not to get angry, but tomorrow I'm going to get angry again. Because it has a source. If the Zohar tells us to cut the head of the source, whatever it is. Again, I repeat, maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's a victim consciousness, maybe I think, I'm the youngest child and everybody put me down. Maybe think, people that don't love and respect me all the time. So cut away the source of whatever is bug us on a daily basis. The second aspect was talking, it says, hang the enemy within us. Chanika. You know how sometimes we get so angry and we get so annoyed and exhausted and challenged that we can't even talk, right? We can't talk. We have this choking power, choking feeling. It is choked up. So sometimes it's this the anger and the hate and the confrontations get to the point that we feel like we are getting choked. And the Zohar is teaching us, stay away from this. As soon as you feel you're choking up, know that you're in the wrong direction. You're feeding the ego. You're feeding the enemy within you. In English, we say in a very nice way, I choked up. I got so angry, I got choked up. I got so annoyed, I got choked up. So that's choking feeling is the enemy between us. Two people love each other and care each other, they don't get choked up, right? It's only like two people that are in competition, in jealousy, or they hate. So next time we have this feeling like, I'm choking up, knows that I've been feeding the enemy too much. The next one is the stone. It says, we have to kill this enemy by stoning. The stone stands for, it's a beautiful lesson. Too hard material, two stones hit each other, there could be a fire coming out of it. A loud noise, two stones break, there's fire coming out of it, smoke coming out of it. But if you change one of the stones to water, if you throw a stone at the water, nothing happened. The water is like take over the stone. So the enemy within us wants to be that stone, that rigid and stubborn person that keep hitting the wall, that keep hitting another stone, and nothing but fire and more hate and more destruction comes out of it. So next time there is a situation that we have to confront somebody, I want to be the water, I want to be the chesed, I want to be the hugging one. Instead of fighting head to head, I want to be the hugging one. So diffuse the situation. The last one is fire. It says put the enemy within us in fire. What is this fire? And the Zohar explains this is the fire within our heart. That extreme, hate and anger, that there is fire in our heart. And God forbid we say so many bad things when we have this fire in our heart. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I hate him, I'm not going to go there anymore, I'm not going to do this anymore. So next time we have this fire within us, we have to recognize that this is the ego, this is the enemy within us. That's not who I am. So to complete this section, is talking about these 4 actions on top of those 3 that we learned that cut the head of our issue. For how many years we're going to carry the same issue that somebody owed me something, somebody did something to me, somebody said something to me. For 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, cut the head away of that scenario. And number 2 is we always have be in peace and kindness, and don't get choked up, because that's the ego. The third one is don't be like a stone, we want to be like a water, hugging the situation and not to have this harsh confrontation. And the last one is to avoid this fire in our heart. That fire is very damaging, actually. So it's good to have a passion, it's good to have a desire for goodness, for building, but we don't want to have this fire for destruction. We are here to build, not to destroy. So let's read the section from the Zohar. We are in book number 22, page 184, section 17. With this Kavanah consciousness, we read this section that we destroy this enemy within us, and we want to purify these negative actions. So Bezrat Hashem, we're going to shift our destiny to a much better one in this coming year. So don't cross your hands, don't cross your legs. We are reading section 17. Al pishtam edim o shlosha edim yumat hamet. Da sam מת מעקרו ויעשהו במות בשנים. לא ימות על פי עד אחד, דלה יהיה לאה חולקה באל אחד. This section of the Zohar is talking about the enemy within us. He says, kill the dead. He says he's dead already, so don't keep carrying him with you. But whatever is remaining of him, you need to destroy him. And it's an amazing word. The Zohar called this enemy within us Sam. It's a short name, Sam. And in Farsi, Sam is poison. You remember we talked about it before. This enemy within us is a Sam, is a poison. So that's why the Torah says whoever doesn't have this enemy within him is going to stay alive. But if we keep feeding this enemy within us, it's like a Sam, it's like a poison that's going to harm us. So that's how far we're going to talk about this class. And we are in the month of Elul, we are in the month of Virgo. In the month of Virgo, we want to remind ourselves that we are in charge, we're in control of our actions. Like little kids, they said, this guy made me do it, or that guy made me do it. We have to reach the maturity that we are in control of our actions. Nobody can make us, do anything bad. It's the enemy within us that want to react in an ugly way, in a bad way. So we are in control of our actions. In this month, like we said earlier, we're trying to understand more. Seek the understanding, every confrontation, every situation. I try to understand the situation, how I can become better, not to judge it. Instead of rushing to judge the situation, rush to learn from it. And this is how far we're going to take the class. I want to wish you guys a good Chodesh Elul. Good luck to all of us with the selichot, with the cleansing, with the purifying. We learned a lot all these years, and Bezrat Hashem, we're going to go pure and cleanse to the high holidays. This Shabbat, we're going to learn even more about this parasha. So I wish you guys Shabbat Shalom and see you on Shabbat. Thank you very much. Toda Rabah.